Jason Isaac joins us, CEO and founder of the American Energy Institute. First of all, Jason, it's always a pleasure to have you back, sir. I appreciate you taking a little bit with us today.
Thank you, Moon. Appreciate you having me on again.
Yes, and me and you talk about the same subjects. I learned from you, and I learned from other people. And so now car batteries, which are dying really fast in the summer with these stupid. By the way, I say stupidity EVs. If I want a golf cart, I'm going to buy one, okay? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go buy one. But the problems they have in left and right, and that's not what's getting the attention unless people like you report. So what's going on now that they messed up?
Well, it was bad enough this past winter when people couldn't charge their batteries, sometimes getting stranded for days, having to leave their cars behind. And now here we are in summer, with one of these seasons that we experience here on this beautiful planet. And it's getting too hot and the batteries are dying. And so EVs have the batteries that power the motors, and they've got a 12-volt standard car battery in them. And those are dying, and people are getting locked, including children getting trapped in their cars because there's no, eject button, or at least they don't know where it is. My car, I open it, I pull the handle, and it pulls a little cable, and a lever's attached and opens my door. Well, that's not the way in EVs. You've actually got to know where the eject handle is so that you can open the door manually. And most people apparently don't, and they're getting locked in their cars.
Can you imagine having to be in a rush and getting locked in your car and you can't get out? But it's even worse than that, because if you're dealing with a younger kid, I mean, that's not good in the heat. And especially if they die. So what's happening? The batteries are dying. You can't get in and out of the car?
Yeah, they're electronic controlled, and so you go to push a button, and that button doesn't respond. Your radio doesn't come on. Your air conditioner doesn't come on. It's just completely dead. And so, again, you've got to know where that lever is. I think I need to put some American Energy Institute branded hammers, on the website for sale so people can give to their virtue signaling friends that own EVs so they can just, keep it on the inside in case of, dead battery, break window.
No, I agree with that. But personally, I think they ought to buy a nice combustion engine, which really works really good. It's very efficient if the prices aren't jacked up. And the prices are jacked up.
Guess what they're doing, Moon? That's exactly what's happening. I was on Fox News on Sunday morning, and I said, wealthy people, which are predominantly the owners of EVs, are wealthy individuals. I think it's over 80% of the people that own EVs, make over $100,000 a year. That's wealthy by every standard. And they're not, when they go back to buy another car, they're not buying EVs again because they realize the maintenance is more expensive. They're having to replace tires more often. The charging is getting close to the cost of a per mile, gallon of gas, and that the range just isn't there and the charging isn't there. And so they're going back to buying what works, and a good gasoline or diesel vehicle works.
Well, they're going to find those prices have been jacked up because of the mandates on the EVs with the car companies. So they're jacking up the combustion engines to make up for the loss on the EVs because they are losing their rear ends off.
Oh, absolutely. The federal government is subsidizing the rich and taxing the poor to pay for their fancy electric vehicles, their gimmicks. I published research with the Texas Public Policy Foundation last year that nearly $20,000 of every EV sold, that cost is getting passed on to purchasers of gasoline and diesel vehicles. Total subsidies and credits that are getting passed on to taxpayers and ratepayers is nearly $50,000 per EV. And companies like Ford are losing over $100,000 per vehicle they sell, which is being sold for an average of $60,000. So you're talking over $200,000 to make an EV. It's just absurd. And like I said, those people that are wealthy, they got wealthy because they made good financial decisions, and they're making them again. They're going back to what works, and that's gasoline and diesel vehicles. Jason
Isaac, CEO and founder of the American Energy Institute. Jason, there's people like you and there's other groups out there that are fighting what's come. But, the problem we're running into is the federal government, which has unlimited money, and the media, who loves the left, have really been pushing this. But the problem I'm seeing, and even in your state in Texas and Louisiana, I'm watching carbon capture and all this crazy stuff. They got $73 million to put EV stations across the state. Instead of these states, yours and mine, saying, no, we don't want that. We're not putting anything. We're not doing that. They're taking the money. everybody in every state's taking the money. Jason, and my question to you is, don't you think that has to stop taking all this money? Other states, they want to take it, let them. But why are we taking money and being forced into something that doesn't work, that's not right?
Yeah, it's a tough decision. These states are justifying it by saying we're bringing our tax dollars back into our states for economic opportunities. But come on, we've built 7 EV. The federal government's built 7 EVs with $7.5 billion. I really applaud Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida and Governor Kristi Noem in South Dakota, because those states have rejected the money. I think there's
Thank you for telling me that.
Maybe Tennessee and Kentucky, I think, are 2 other states. I think 4 states out of 50 that have rejected the money, saying we don't need the handouts. We're not going to burn taxpayer dollars.
So give me the states: Kentucky, Tennessee, South Dakota, and Florida.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm moving to. Man, I'm proud of them guys. I mean, they have man and woman up. They stood up and said, "We don't want that here." That's what Louisiana should have done. Now, if you throw a dollar in Louisiana and that sucker get to blowing around, somebody going to grab it. I can promise you that. And apparently Texas does some of the same thing. But it makes no sense for us to even be involved in this. Because let me tell you what they're doing. They not only when you take the money, these leftist groups and our federal government go out and tell everybody, well, everybody's doing it. They understand where we're going. This is where we're headed at. And so it makes everybody look like they believe in what they believe. And I think they only say they believe in it is because of the federal money that's coming. If you take the federal money totally out, would you agree with me that nobody would be doing this?
No, you're absolutely right. And we'd have affordable, reliable electricity. The cost at the pump would be less. But this so-called Inflation Reduction Act is putting billions of dollars. I mean, they are giving money to these so-called nonprofit climate alarmist groups. They're funding terrorism. These are anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, pro-terrorist organizations that are getting climate money. That's our federal tax dollars. It's our kids, it's our grandkids, and generations of people that haven't even been born yet that are going to be saddled with this debt. We've just got, and that's why I created and launched the American Energy Institute, a trade organization representing free markets and American energy producers. We've got to level the playing field and get rid of all these subsidies. And so that's what we're going to continue to fight for, so that we have affordable, reliable energy.
Let me ask you a question. So they building, they got the second carbon capture plant ever to be put in. It's going to Shreveport, Bossier area. And somebody called it, Bill Gates is funding part of it, and then the federal government's going to throw in $500 million. And I'm seeing people say stuff like, this is the future, this is what we need to be doing. And you look up and it creates 50 jobs at 56,000 jobs of $56,000 a year, something like 80 jobs, whatever it is. I ain't talking about construction jobs, I'm just talking about that. That means people are buying into it because they're talking about every one of them. This is our future. We're going to be the leaders in renewables. And I'm going, we are stupid. We really are stupid. But yet, it's Republicans and conservatives that are saying this now. And they're only saying it because look at the money's coming in.
Yeah, you are spot on, Moon. There's only 2 reasons to do carbon capture, and it's to virtue signal to your friends and your elites, like buying an EV, that you're actually doing something, but you're not doing anything. And the other reason is to get all the federal subsidies and the handouts, because it doesn't do anything to mitigate a changing climate. Absolutely nothing. And there's more and more science that's coming out and showing greenhouse gas emissions and man's contribution of them have had no effect on warming over the last 200 years.
Yeah, by the way, these states, I'm just proud of them, going, wow, they get it. They actually get. By the way, I don't know if you saw this, and it's a little bit off subject, but I'll come back to the subject. Cow, sheep, and pig farts, I'm not making this up, in Denmark, okay, they've been warned in burps. It will be measured and taxed from 2030, the first country in the world to target methane emissions. How nuts have we gotten to be in this world? This is what they're going to measure it, and they're going to start finding and charging people who grow what people eat. Can you believe that we've gone this crazy?
Well, we've got too many sheep and not enough lions, and we need real lions, people that are going to be leaders, that are going to fight this climate cult, that are going to fight the World Economic Forum that's pushing this great reset on us. They don't want us eating meat, and they're figuring out a way to make it more expensive, to put it further out of reach for the least among us. And even those that can't afford it, the costs are astronomical just over the last few years. We are separating ourselves from our food, our fuel, and our money, and it's all built on this decarbonization, net zero, climate cult Kool-Aid.
Yep.
And we've got to stand up. We need some lions to roar and say enough is enough.
Well, I got to tell you, those 4 states look like they're roaring, because I guarantee you that people in them states, they want that money. They want that money coming through that state, because some of them, when you send hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, some of that gets to roll through people's fingertips, and they become wealthy, and that's the goal of life, is to be wealthy, right?
Yeah, and those corporations have lots of lobbyists that are schmoozing and whining and dining policymakers at the state and federal level. And unfortunately, you and I really don't have a whole lot of people that are out there in those capitals every single day advocating for us and for lower cost food and fuel so that we can prosper.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let me take a quick break. Hold on, Jason, you got a few more minutes?
I sure do.
All right, it's always a pleasure to have you. Jason Isaac, of course, CNO, founder of the American Energy Institute, former state representative. We'll talk to him when we get back. You listen.